November 11th, November 24th New Style. The story about the miracles of the Holy Great Martyr Menas by Timothy, Archbishop of Alexandria. After the death of the impious and God-hating Roman emperors Diocletian and Maximian, the pious Emperor Constantine the Great ascended to the throne. During his reign, the faith of our Lord Jesus Christ greatly increased. At this time, certain Christ-loving people in the city of Alexandria discovered the place where the holy remains of the glorious Christ's martyr Menas were laid, and they built a church on this site in his honor. It happened that a pious merchant from the land of Isauria came to Alexandria to buy goods. Upon hearing about the many miracles and healings taking place at the church of St. Menas, he said to himself, "I will go and venerate the holy relics of the martyr, and offer gifts to his church, so that God may have mercy on me through the prayers of his holy martyr." With this thought, he set out for the church, taking with him a bag full of gold. Arriving at the coastal lake and finding a boat, he sailed to the place called Lozoneta. After coming ashore, the merchant sought somewhere to spend the night, for evening had already fallen. He entered a house and said to the owner, "Friend, please do me the kindness of allowing me to stay at your home for the night, for the sun has set and I am afraid to go further alone, as I have no one to accompany me." "Come in, brother," the homeowner replied, "and stay here until morning." The guest accepted the invitation, and entering the house lay down to sleep. However, the homeowner, seeing the bag of gold, was tempted, and prompted by the evil spirit, plotted to kill his guest and take the gold for himself. Rising at midnight, he strangled the merchant, cut his body into pieces, placed them in a basket, and hid it in an inner room. After the murder, he became greatly agitated, and looking around nervously, searched for a hidden place to bury the body. While he was contemplating this, St. Menas appeared to him, riding a horse, like a soldier sent from the king. Entering the gates of the murderer's house, the martyr asked him about the guest he had killed. The murderer, feigning ignorance, said to the saint, "I don't know what you're talking about, sir. I had no guest." But the saint, dismounting from the horse, went into the inner room, took the basket, brought it outside, and said to the murderer, "What is this?" The murderer was greatly terrified, and fainted at the saint's feet. St. Menas, after reassembling the dismembered body, prayed and raised the dead man, saying to him, "Give praise to God." The man stood up, as if awakening from sleep, and realizing that he had suffered at the hands of his host, glorified God and bowed gratefully before the soldier. Then the saint, taking the gold from the murderer, returned it to the resurrected man, saying, "Go on your way in peace." Turning then to the murderer, the saint seized him and beat him severely. The murderer repented and begged for forgiveness. Then the martyr forgave him for the murder, prayed for him, mounted his horse, and became invisible. In Alexandria there lived a man named Eutropius. This Eutropius made a vow to donate a silver dish to the church of St. Menas. He called a goldsmith and instructed him to make 2 dishes, one with the inscription, "Dish of the Holy Martyr Menas," and the other inscribed, "Dish of Eutropius, a citizen of Alexandria." The goldsmith set to work as instructed, and when both dishes were completed, the dish intended for St. Menas turned out to be much more beautiful and shiny than the other. After inscribing the names of St. Menas and Eutropius on the dishes, the goldsmith delivered them to Eutropius. One day, while sailing on a ship, Eutropius used both dishes during a meal. Noticing that the dish intended as a gift to St. Menas was far more beautiful than his own, he decided to keep it to himself. He ordered his servant to serve him food on that dish, and planned to send the dish inscribed with his name as a gift to the church of St. Menas instead. After the meal, the servant took the dish with the martyr's name to the edge of the ship to wash it in the sea. Suddenly the servant was struck with terror as he saw a man emerge from the sea, take the dish from his hands, and vanish. Filled with fear, the servant leaped into the sea after the dish. Seeing this, the master was also frightened, and wept bitterly, saying, "Woe to me, a wretched man, for I desired to keep the dish of St. Menas for myself, and now I have lost both the dish and my servant." But you, O Lord, do not be angry with me to the end, and show your mercy to my servant. I promise that if I find my servant's body, I will have another dish made, and offer it as a gift to your holy servant Menas, or I will give money to the church in the value of the dish." When the ship reached the shore, Eutropius disembarked and began to search along the coast, hoping to find his servant's body washed ashore, so that he could give him a proper burial. While he was looking closely, he suddenly saw his servant emerging from the sea with the dish in his hands. Overcome with both fear and joy, he cried out in a loud voice, "Glory to God! Truly great are you, O holy Martyr Menas!" Hearing his cry, all those aboard the ship disembarked, and seeing the servant holding the dish, they were filled with amazement and glorified God. When they asked the servant how he had survived after falling into the sea, and how he had emerged unharmed, he replied, "As soon as I leaped into the sea, a majestic man, accompanied by 2 others, took me, and we walked together yesterday and today until they brought me here." Eutropius, taking his servant and the dish, went to the church of St. Menas. Having bowed in veneration, he left the promised dish as a gift to the saint, and departed thanking and glorifying God and his holy servant Menas. There was also a woman named Sophia, who was on her way to venerate at the church of St. Menas. On the road, she encountered a soldier who, seeing her traveling alone, decided to dishonor her. She resisted fiercely, calling upon St. Menas for help. The saint did not abandon her, but punished the man who intended to violate her, while keeping her unharmed. As the soldier, after tying his horse to his right leg, prepared to commit his crime, the horse went wild. Not only did it thwart the master's intentions, but it also dragged him across the ground, continuing until it brought him to the church of St. Menas. The horse, neighing furiously, attracted a crowd, as it was a feast day and the church was full of people. Seeing the gathering crowd and realizing that his horse was still enraged and that no help was forthcoming, the soldier feared that he might suffer even worse from his horse. Overcoming his shame, he confessed his evil intentions to the crowd, and the horse immediately calmed down and became gentle. The soldier then entered the church, prostrated himself before the relics of the saint, and prayed for forgiveness for his sin. Around the church of the martyr, many others were gathered, including a lame man and a mute woman, all hoping to receive healing. At midnight, while everyone was asleep, St. Menas appeared to the lame man and said, "Go silently to the mute woman and take hold of her leg." The lame man responded to the martyr, saying, "O servant of God, am I an immoral man that you command me to do this?" But the saint repeated his words to him 3 times and added, "If you do not do this, you will not receive healing." The lame man, following the saint's command, crawled over and grabbed the mute woman's leg. She awoke and began to cry out, indignant at the lame man. Startled, he stood up on both feet and quickly ran. Thus, both of them experienced healing. The mute woman began to speak, and the lame man ran swiftly like a deer. Both healed, they gave thanks to God and to the holy Martyr Menas. There was a Jew who had a Christian friend. One day before leaving for a distant country, he entrusted his Christian friend with a small chest containing 1,000 gold coins for safekeeping. As the Jew delayed his return, the Christian decided not to give the gold back upon the Jew's return, keeping it to himself, and so he did. When the Jew returned, he went to the Christian and asked for his gold, which he had entrusted to him for safekeeping. But the Christian denied it, saying, "I don't know what you're talking about. You didn't give me anything, and I didn't take anything from you." Hearing this reply from his friend, the Jew was saddened, and believing his gold was lost, said to the Christian, "Brother, no one knows about this except for God alone. If you refuse to return the gold I entrusted to you, claiming you never took it from me, then confirm it with an oath. Let's go to the church of St. Menas, and there swear to me that you did not take the chest with 1,000 gold coins from me." The Christian agreed, and they both went to the church of the saint, where the Christian swore before God to the Jew that he had not taken any gold from him. After making the oath, they left the church together, and as soon as they mounted their horses, the Christian's horse became wild and almost impossible to control. It broke its bridle, rose up on its hind legs, and threw its master to the ground. During the fall, a ring fell from the Christian's hand, and a key slipped out of his pocket. The Christian, getting up, took hold of his horse, calmed it, and mounting it again, continued riding alongside the Jew. After a while, the Christian said to the Jew, "Friend, here is a good spot. Let's dismount and have some bread." They dismounted, let their horses graze, and sat down to eat. A little later, the Christian looked up and saw his servant standing before them, holding in one hand the Jew's chest, and in the other the ring that had fallen from his hand. Terrified, the Christian asked the servant, "What does this mean?" The servant replied, "A fearsome warrior on horseback came to my mistress, and giving her the key and the ring said, 'Send the Jew's chest as quickly as possible, so that no great misfortune befalls your husband.' I was given this to bring to you, just as you commanded." Seeing this, the Jew was amazed by the miracle, and overjoyed returned with his friend to the church of St. Menas. Bowing to the ground in the church, the Jew asked for holy baptism, having come to believe because of this miracle, of which he was a witness. The Christian, meanwhile, prayed to St. Menas for forgiveness, as he had broken the divine commandment. Both received what they sought. The Jew received the holy baptism, and the Christian was forgiven for his sin. They went their separate ways, rejoicing, praising God and glorifying his holy servant, Menas.